Alright, so welcome to the Utah series question and answers video. I just put out on Instagram and Facebook if anybody had any questions, they could reach out, ask them, and I would put together a video and answer them. So, I got quite a few here. First question, what are your most used lenses for pictures? So my favorite focal range for pictures with automotive photography, cars and stuff, is the 70 to 200 focal range. And for the Utah trip, I had my Sigma 70 to 200 f2.8 lens. Since the trip, I have sold that lens and went to the RF version of it, 70 to 200 f4. But that Sigma lens was one of my favorite ones. The only reason I upgraded to the RF version was just because it's like half the weight, half the size, a little bit sharper quality because it's, you know, it's Canon L glass. But Sigma is a great third-party lens company if you want to go that route. What was your average miles per gallon? So the whole trip was 4,457 miles, and I do keep every receipt from the trip, food, gas, hotels, everything. I keep every receipt so I can total up everything at the end of the trip. All the gas receipts totaled 217 gallons of fuel, and then when you do the math on that, it comes out to 20 and a half miles per gallon. So 20, 21, somewhere in there. Do you have cruise control in your car, or how do you do it on these long drives? I do not have cruise control. None of the Evos from the factory came with cruise control. Just personally, I'm not a fan of it. I never really ever used it. I guess, like to be in control with my foot on the throttle at all times. Ever consider hitting top speed on the Bonneville Salt Flats? So yes, it has crossed my mind, considering I was in Salt Lake City, and the Bonneville Salt Flats was like hour, 2 hours from, west of Salt Lake City, depending on where you want to enter. But it is salt, and I've seen pictures and videos of other people's cars. The whole underside is completely covered in salt, like the wheel wells, everything. It gets into every single spot on the car that you didn't even knew existed. And the car is a Southern car from South Carolina, and it's rust-free. And I really just want to keep it that way, so I did not go to the Salt Flats. Even if I wanted to, I just wouldn't have had enough time with my schedule and how many days I was out there. But I did take my SUV out there in 2019, I believe it was. But yeah, that was kind of fun in that, but that sees winter every year, so I don't care as much for the SUV. How reliable has the Evo been on all the long road trips? So honestly, it's been super solid since I bought the car in 2018, May of 2018, with 102,000 miles, and it has like 160 now, I believe, somewhere around there. Maybe it might be a little less, but I haven't had any issues besides, like, I've done some maintenance stuff, but other than that, it's been super solid. I had those few check engine lights on the trip for the MAF sensor. Car ran perfectly fine. There was never any issues with like the air-fuel ratios or anything. So not really sure what that was all about. How do you usually do an overnight stop when making a cross-country journey? So if I plan on driving like super late into the night and then plan on leaving early in the morning, and I'm only planning on getting a few hours of sleep, it doesn't really pay to get a hotel just for a couple hours of sleep. So I'll just pull off the interstate, the freeway, and just pull off at those like rest stops that you'll see with like bathrooms and vending machines and stuff. And I'll just recline the front seat, get a couple hours of sleep, and then back on the road. If I don't have any of those, I've done gas stations, Walmarts. I've even stopped at hotels, just back of a parking lot. I kind of go with my gut. If it seems sketchy, I'll leave and I'll just find somewhere that seems safer. How do you plan the financial side of it, and how did you plan which route to take? So the financial side of it. So when I have a trip coming up and I have it planned, whether it be a few months before or like a whole year before, I'll just every month put a little bit of money aside for the trip, whether it be $20 a month, $100 a month, whatever it may be, just to kind of, then when I do take a trip, I have that whole pile of cash ready to go for the trip. And it doesn't necessarily cover everything. I'll normally, before a trip, I'll leave empty credit card, nothing on it. And if anything that I need to really put on it, then I'll put on it. And then when I come back, you know, I'll just work like some overtime at work or whatever and just get that paid off within a month or two. So that's pretty much financial side of things. How did you plan which route to take? So I'll post like a little screenshot here of my phone, but I have on Google Maps, you can pinpoint locations and set them for different things, like things you want to do, your favorites, and then you can even name them like restaurants, whatever you want. I have like food places, waterfalls. I have a whole bunch of different categories. Anyways, so when I ever see something online or hear about something or somebody recommends it to me, or if I watch other people's YouTube videos, if I see a place that I want to visit sometime, I will just pinpoint it on my map. And then when it comes time to do a trip, so like this whole trip was based around the Salt Lake City Mitsubishi Owners Day. So I basically, you know, put that into the map and then see where my route is roughly, you know. But then I also wanted to do Badlands and the Black Hills. So then in that area along those routes, I'll see if I have anything else marked. If I do, you know, I'll just kind of hit the things on the way there. And then on the way back, I'll always try and do a different route just so I'm not going back. So, you know, if I'm driving out there and I'm driving back, I get to see something different. So, yeah, it's pretty much how I did it. But I know the one thing on this trip that I really loved, it was the Epic Mountain Views video. I believe it was, let's see, the third episode. It was the third or fourth episode. I can't remember exactly. But it was the one where I went up it through the mountain pass and there was snow everywhere. And it was just the most epic drone shots, like probably of the whole trip. That actually, so when I was doing the Google Maps route, it had me going, I think, down through Jasper, which is more like the southeastern portion of Wyoming. And I had been through there, and there's like not much to do or whatever. And I was just like, well, I've never been through the central part of Wyoming. So I was just on Google Maps one day, just like zooming in, and I seen this like big like switchback S curve on Google Maps, and I was just like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And like literally just by chance of me just zooming in to the center of Wyoming, that's what I had seen. And that's kind of how I planned that whole section of Wyoming. And then it took me through Thermopolis, which never heard of before. And then that Wind River Canyon, that was also amazing, epic. Like, you know, it's just stuff like that where just zoom into a map. If a road looks decently cool, it's probably awesome. And that whole section of that trip just really kind of blew me away because I didn't really do much research on it. I just zoomed in because I wanted to go to an area of the state that I had never been to, basically. So that's pretty much how I plan routes. Okay, so I got 2 more questions then. Strangest thing you spotted or experienced during the trip. So this was honestly probably one of the hardest questions out of all of them to kind of think about and kind of put together an answer for. I spent probably an hour or 2, like 3 hours. Like I rewatched all my videos just trying to think of something, you know, that was just strange from the trip, either something I heard or experienced, and I couldn't really think of anything. The trip went pretty smooth, just besides the check engine light coming and going, but I was just trying to think. And I couldn't really come up with anything. There was one thing in the Salt Lake City Canyon video, I believe, episode 5, I believe. But I forgot which canyon it was too, but I remember there was like this cement-like structure up on the left-hand side of the canyon wall, and it looked like there was like fences and stuff, and there was like no like real driveway to even like get to it. But it was definitely like a cement building structure. I don't know. In the moment, I was kind of like wondering what that was, and I guess I've never really went back to even find out. If you're from Utah, Salt Lake City area, and you recognize whatever that was in the video, leave a comment below or something, or maybe I'll try and Google search it. All right, so last question. Are you coming back next year? So I would love to say yes. The event, I'm assuming the question is regarding to Mitsubishi Owners Day, because that's, you know, what this whole trip was based around. And I would love to say yes, but the real answer is I don't know. The event was awesome. Everything was perfect. I love the area. I love Utah. Utah's, like I said in my video many times, it's one of my favorite states. But there is also so many different places and things I want to see and do in this country. And I know the past few years my eyes have been on Alaska quite heavily. And Alaska was initially the plan for this year. Use all my vacation time to go to Alaska this year. But I wanted to push that off a year or two just because of how much planning is involved with that trip. And I just felt I wasn't necessarily ready planning-wise for it. So that is why I pushed that off, and that was partially a main reason why I could even make it to Utah this year. And then with the Memorial Day holiday, it just made it a lot easier. But with that being said, I do want to try and do Alaska next year. And from my place in southeastern Wisconsin to Anchorage, Alaska is like 58 hours. So you're looking at 6 10-hour days essentially of driving, and that's if you don't come across any road construction or anything else to slow you down. So realistically, I was planning probably 10 days to get there, give or take a day or two, and then 10 days to come back. So you're looking at 20 days of just driving there and back. And then while I'm in Alaska, if I plan to do it next year, I still want at least 10 or 15 days of, you know, adventure time up in Alaska to see and do everything I would like. So, you know, I'm going to need 30, 35, you know, it's going to be a whole month trip. So lots of planning, lots of saving up for it, which I've been doing. But yeah, that would use... So if I'm gone for a whole month, I'm going to have to use every single one of my vacation days, plus possibly having to call in a few days at work to make that trip happen. So that means everything else that year will, you know, that will be my only trip that year is basically what I'm saying. Unless there's like something I can do on a quick weekend. Because I do have off every other weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if I can do like a short trip, like Tail the Dragon, you know, I can leave Thursday, be down there middle of the day Friday, all day Saturday, drive home Sunday. I could do a trip like that. But coming out to Utah, it's a little further, so I'm not sure if that will be a thing next year. So sorry to say that, but there is a lot of things I want to see and do. So I think that is all the questions I had. Thanks for the people that put in some questions for me to answer. And I just want to say appreciate everyone for watching the videos, liking it, commenting on them, sharing them. And if you haven't seen the whole series, I will leave the playlist right here for you guys to watch. Each single episode has chapters, so you can jump to which parts you want to watch if you don't want to watch the whole thing, if a certain part doesn't exactly excite you. But I did put in a lot of work into these, and I'm proud of them. So I hope you guys check them out. Like I said, the playlist is right here, so if you want, you can check them out. So with that being said, see you guys on the next adventure.